Hey, welcome to Meet at the Apple. I'm Vito, Calise. That's Jonathan Barron. And it's the most beautiful time of year. Opening day is upon us here at Citi Field. We're getting things ready, but we wanted to get here and talk to you guys before the stadium started filling up.
Yes, Vito. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody out there. Mets pulled out a big win yesterday. I know that, it's early and some teams are 0-7. Some teams struck out 14 times back-to-back days. But the Mets needed to win that game. I say needed loosely, but I think as far as the vibes go, with today's off day and everyone feeling good, losing 2 of 3 to a Marlins team that you don't expect much from this year wouldn't have been ideal by any means. And the Mets found a way to make it happen. Pete Alonso once again coming up clutch, or something about him, and him hitting game-tying or big three-run home runs. Calvin Fauché, who he hit the home run against, hadn't allowed a home run since 2023 as a member of the Tampa Bay Rays. It had been a long time since Fauché had allowed a home run. So in that situation, top 8, 2 outs, tying run at the dish. You don't know if you're going to get the tying run up again. For Pete to hit the home run, come up clutch there, give his team a chance. And then the Mets, get the job done, some good defense.
We're going to talk about all that in a little.
We're just going. We're gripping and ripping, as you said.
Not live.
Well, we're gripping and we're ripping. But yeah, no, it was a huge win and a lot of good theories. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about what's to come here opening day. We could have a couple surprises this weekend, so you guys want to be here. Weather be damned.
Yeah, I mean, we'll even tell you about some of the promo items coming out this weekend, because there's some really cool stuff you can get if you come out to the ballpark. And at the end of this stream, we are going to play for you an interview we did just a few hours ago with Jared Smith, the founder of Victus Sports. And we got the lowdown on the Torpedo bats. This is a company that is one of the primary people making them right now. They've made a bat for one of the people really, really taking advantage of it right now, really getting success out of it. So stay tuned for that interview. That'll play at the end. But I think this is a perfect time to start off talking Mets Marlins. Let's talk about the top 5 moments coming out of Mets Marlins, the top 5 stories, actually, because you can't boil all of these down to moments. But one that you can boil into a moment. Number 5, I want to give a special shout out. We both do. Everybody does. Hayden Senger getting his first career hit in the big leagues, seeing that smile, seeing him have that exchange with John Richardson, getting that ball. Just a special moment. It's always so fun to see a guy get that.
Yeah, my favorite part about it wasn't even the moment on the field, but after the game, Dom Hamill and a lot of the minor league guys, Brendan Hardy, I know, former Mets farmhand, on their Instagram stories, congratulating Hayden Senger, which shows me that Hayden Senger means a lot to the guys he's worked with in the past, his teammates in the minor leagues, watching him have his success in the majors. We all know the story, working at Whole Foods, stocking shelves, now in the big leagues, getting an opportunity, and really not skipping the Mets catcher tandem between Luis Torrens, who had a big home run, almost had a game-tying home run in Game 2 of the series, throwing out more runners. We'll talk more about Torrens and the impact he's made in preventing other teams from running. But the duo of Torrens and Senger, they've been really, really good as a pair. And congrats to Hayden Senger, like you mentioned. I'm sure it's going to be a big moment for Hayden to have his name introduced on the line in the opening day ceremonies on Friday. He was actually on the line in the postseason last year, but he's wearing number 50. Now he's wearing number 30, a bit more of a big league number. That'll be a nice moment for Hayden, for him to finally get a chance to hopefully play here. I'm sure he will, with the day game after a night game Tuesday, Wednesday here at Citi Field.
Yeah, and then actually this is a perfect segue. The number 4 story coming out of Mets Marlins and going into opening weekend here at Citi Field, it's the bullpen, and another one of those guys who got that playoff moment but is getting their first active member of the roster. Max Kranick, the rest of this bullpen, dude, we said it in our season preview. We said it in our first episode recap that the bullpen was going to be one of the biggest factors of this Mets team. And it's been great to see starting pitchers go 5-6 innings. And then what happens? One person from the bullpen comes out, finishes the game, and then preserves that bullpen for later on in the week. So we saw in Game 1, Brazoban take over the final 3 innings of that game. And because of that, the Mets were able to hold on to most of those high leverage guys and really take advantage in Game 3. And that's why, when things were getting deep there, that's why we were able to go so far.
Yeah, so you mentioned Brazaban, 5 scoreless innings so far. He's been great. Sometimes it happens here on Meet at the Apple, but he's been great, and I'm sure he had a little extra juice going into that game against the Marlins.
He did say that. Did you see his post-game comments?
I did not, but I can only imagine that facing his former team that dealt him at the trade deadline, it was probably a little sweeter for him to record that save. Yeah,
he did say after the game, via, I believe it was via Alan, translator, who I saw here at Citi Field today. But he did say, look, it's a lot more special when you're going up against your former team. It means that much more to you because you got traded away from there and you want to prove them wrong.
Of course, just human nature. But, I mean, Reed Garrett, once again, coming in and getting out of a jam after Clay Holmes left the game on Wednesday afternoon. Kept the damage where it was, kept the Mets right in the ball game there. He talked about Max Kranick, the 3 scoreless innings that he threw a couple of nights ago. The Mets bullpen to this point, Vito, has a 1.64 ERA. Starting rotation, by the way, 2.90 ERA. So, we had the episode after the Astro series, and the thesis was, are the Mets going to ride the pitching to the postseason? And someone called us dorks. So whoever that was, you're not totally wrong, but
that
not
guy
nice.
called us more than dorks.
What else did he call us?
I can't say.
Did he really?
Yeah. Well, not you, me. He called me some really mean things.
Oh, well, that's not nice, whoever that was. But this is the philosophy, it seems. And it's working to this point, and the Mets have reinforcements in the minor leagues. We've talked about Daniel Nunez. He will be up here at some point. Chris Davinsky's off to a nice start down in the minors. If you look at what Dom Hamel, as they were referred to by someone yesterday to me, the Syracuse Mets, they're off to a good start.
I like the Mets.
It is an organizational thing with the pitching leading the way, and we've seen just that so far. And yesterday, Jose Butto comes on. He does the job. Edwin Díaz has had 2 scoreless appearances. A little bit more on Edwin before this episode's over. But yeah, it's been great to see this bullpen have the success that it has. Not only because we called it, but also because I think that's the biggest part of winning baseball over a long season is the bullpen. Starting pitchers just are not built like they used to be. You cannot expect guys to go 3 times through the lineup. You need a bullpen that can get you 10 to 12, sometimes more than that outs. We saw what happened with the Braves last night. They got a 5-0 lead, and Bryce Elder gives a couple runs back, but they still have a 2-3-run lead. And late in the game, Raisel Iglesias comes in. He blows it. Braves fall to 0-7. So you got to rely on that bullpen.
Hunter wanted to say something from the back.
What, Hunter?
No, I was just going to say throw it again. That's all.
Oh, that's real. Why are you always stirring the pot, Hunter?
I don't mean to.
Why are you stirring the pot, man? Come on now. All right, what's number 3, Vito?
Number 3, you brought him up before, Luis Torrens, and we're talking both sides of the ball with Luis Torrens. I don't know which moment to even say is his standout moment. Luckily, we're doing stories.
I know what it was. I know what it was.
It's not the home run?
Nope. It's the celebration on the Pete Alonso Grand Slam where he was waving the bat in the air. That was Luis Torrens' best moment. The home run was cool. Got a little help from it. I think it was going out regardless. You don't think so? Did you watch it?
I'm smiling because I'm just...
Oh, yeah. No, it wasn't going out. But that happened in 2007. Hunter remembers this. Johnny Damon. Subway Series Game 2, the Saturday game, Mets-Yankees. I think that was the day that Jeff Karstens had his leg broken by an Endy Chavez comebacker. Everyone remembers Jeff Karstens. David Wright had a 2-homer game, and one of them, Julio Franco, I think, had 4 hits that day. Johnny Damon went back. Ball would have probably hit the wall, hit Damon's glove right in the heel, and bounced over. So a similar situation to that. But I mean, Torrens hit the you-know-what out of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 games, it looked like he was just. There was that moment in Game 2 where it looked like it was out. Also, I don't know what it is about the broadcast in Miami, but
the cameras
in Miami, I thought everything off the bat was gone. I thought Nimmo, Pete was gone.
I thought the one with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th yesterday was hit to Jupiter.
Oh, 100%. The crack of the bat on that one sounded unbelievable, too. I saw Jolly Olive even tweeted. And John DeMarco from SNY tweeted back at him. But, yeah, like, I don't know what it is about Miami, but everything was terrifying. I was holding on to my butt all game.
Yeah, well, it's a big park. It has been that way. It plays pretty large, really more to left field than right field, I think. I know Mark Vientos hit a fly ball early in Game 3 of the series that was a little tricky off the bat. But no, Luis Torrens, you talked about the offense. Let's talk about the defense.
Yeah.
I tweeted this, I think, on Saturday after the strike him out, throw him out double play that got Griffin Canning out of the first inning in his Mets debut. No one has a higher catcher caught stealing rate behind the dish than Luis Torrens since he made his Mets debut back on June 2nd of 2024. So, it was a situation where the Yankees were pretty set last year at the catcher position with Austin Wells, a guy who was a first-round pick, who is a very good catcher, very good hitter, very good defender in his own right, and they had Jose Trevino last season. So the Yankees didn't have a spot for Luis Torrens, and there aren't that many good catchers, and it's funny that the Yankees had 3 pretty good options. So Torrens had an out in his contract if he wasn't on the Major League roster at the end of May. He exercised it. The Mets were not happy with what they were getting from their backup position and the catcher spot, and they go out, they claim Torrens. Torrens was huge last year for the Mets, and even if the bat's not always hot, his ability to nab would-be base stealers, you cannot run on Luis Torrens, and everyone knows it. The word is out around the league. Do not try to run on this guy. You will not have success.
Yeah, I thought the word was out on it, but it looked like everybody was still trying to run on him in Miami, and look what happened. I mean, he's just like the fastest gun in the NL East. Like, it's unbelievable. I was texting with Tim Wise, one of our members of baseball ops here at the Mets, and I just texted him, and I was like, why are people still running on Luis Torrens? And he said, to give us Luis Torrens highlights. That's why.
So we got plenty of them.
But let's move on. Number 2. Now, this is a hard one because we had some good performances from a few guys when we're talking about the rotation. And, I do want to give a shout out to Kodai Senga. We'll talk more about him later. But David Peterson, this was a classic David Peterson start, dude. Goes out there, 9 strikeouts over 6 innings. It's the David Peterson you love to see. And it's not even, I said that's just classic David Peterson, but I guess classic David Peterson, would you say is more, are we looking more double plays? Are we talking earthworms here?
I think classic David Peterson, from what he was the first few years of his career, wasn't as many strikeouts, more, balls in play, generating a lot of ground balls. And early in the start, he was, I think, getting squeezed a bit. I think he was trying to be a little bit too fine painting. And, there came a point where he just said, all right, I'm going to just throw my FU stuff and I'm going to get you out this way. And, he got stronger as the game went in. He settled in, similar to Kodai Senga.
Yeah.
First 4 pitches, Senga was down 2-0. Then you look up and it's 2 earned runs and 8 strikeouts and a pretty confident or confidence building start. Same with David Peterson. Peterson gives you a little bit more length. David Peterson is one of the big parts of this rotation that was evident last season. It was a great first start for David Peterson. We'll see him in this Blue Jays series. Excited to see his Citi Field debut, but he looks like a different pitcher with the stuff that beats opposing hitters and really makes them look silly. So I think he's evolving. I think he's already evolved, but the classic David Peterson we saw in 2020 when he first came up, 21, 22, I think he's moved. He's morphed into a different kind of pitcher, a guy that has swing and miss stuff.
And we saw that last year. I mean, remember his birthday game
against the Red Sox?
Yeah, that was what? Was that 11? Was it?
I think it was 10 strikeouts. That was when he was really using that high fastball, just changing the eye level. Fastballs high, sliders, in on the righty, down and in. He's just and the sinker. The sinker is always a weapon, and he has the ability to race guys. So even if he is trying to be a little bit fine and issues a walk or two, he can quickly erase base runners because he's got a great defense behind him, especially up the middle with Francisco Lindor turning double plays. And that's the great equalizer for a pitcher is, hey, runner on, no problem. I'm going to roll a 2-ball out of this inning.
Yeah, man. It's just really fun to watch David Peterson. And I'm excited to having our next conversation with him. Spoke to him in spring training, obviously. It was a great conversation, but just a really easy conversation, really fun. And I'm excited to talk to the guy. But number 1 moment, number 1 story, number 1 guy right now, Pete Alonso. I am so happy. I'm so proud. I'm so
proud of him.
I hate saying the word proud when you're not has somebody ever said I'm proud of you and you're like, oh, that's a weird thing to say. We're just the same, we're the same level or whatever. But what Pete Alonso did over the course of these 3 games and over the course of this first week, I'm so impressed by because he's really spun the narrative that we saw last year. He's really changed the outcome. And I know I feel like a lot of people were mainly talking about last night's at bat and talking about how impressed they were with that sequence. But I thought the grand slam, that at bat, I think, in my opinion, it's the best at bat I've seen Pete Alonso have when you're thinking about the things that were tripping him up last year. When you were seeing him get caught on all of those outside pitches, all those low pitches, that Pete Alonso at bat was great because he only swung at things that in the strike zone or even touching the strike zone, things that were too iffy. Everything outside didn't even touch. The one pitch he really makes contact with, obviously the grand slam. And it just shows you that Pete Alonso with plate discipline is going to be the most dangerous hitter in the league, because when these pitchers have to start coming up on him, that's Pete's sweet spot. The reason Pete is swinging at these low and away sliders, these low and away fastballs, is because that's where he's doing the most damage. So if these guys have to bring it up on Pete, put it in the strike zone where he could really do damage, I am terrified to be a guy going up against Pete Alonso in 2025.
Yeah, so for me, the biggest thing is Pete's when Pete's going right, when Pete's going well, I think the sign is he's hitting home runs to right field, he's hitting home runs to center field. He had his first career home run at Marlins Park, straightaway center field. He had his 100th career home run at Marlins Park, I believe, straightaway center field. I was surprised that Clayton McCullough left Cal Quantrill in to face Pete again. We've talked about this a lot with Juan Soto in front of Pete Alonso. He is continuously coming up with runners on. That changes the equation. You don't want to walk Pete Alonso and then move Juan Soto into scoring position. Then you've got Nimmo, who has 2 home runs in his own right, and Vientos, who, although he hasn't really gotten it going yet, he's not chasing much. He's not striking out that much. You know that Mark Vientos is going to get it going. Pete, like you were talking about, dropping the chase rate. Last year, the chase rate was around 26%. Right now, it is about 18%. He's had 26 plate appearances. He's walked 5 times. He's only struck out 2 times. I think having Juan Soto in front of Pete Alonso makes a big difference. It takes a ton of pressure off Pete Alonso. Having another big bat in the lineup, having a guy who is chronically on base in front of you in the lineup. 8 RBIs, had a 4 RBI game on Wednesday. The Grand Slam, 4 RBIs, obviously, on Monday. My prediction for Friday, one of the things that I'm most excited for is Pete being, I don't say reintroduced to the Met fans, but after what we went through in the offseason, the saga, free agency, I think Pete is going to get the biggest round of applause, biggest ovation from Mets fans when the team takes the line for opening intros. And I can't wait for it because it's something that he deserves. Talked about it with Steve Gelbs yesterday on the field after the game, how special it is to play at Citi Field, the love affair between him and the Mets fans. Pete Alonso's our guy. And anyone who doubts him, anyone who looks at last year and thinks that, he's not what he was in 2020 or 2021 or 2022, get out of here. Anyone who's saying, I haven't seen enough, stop it. This guy is a bona fide power hitter. This guy is, he is the polar bear. And he's already off to a special season. So like you said, he's worked on a lot of things that tripped him up last year. But I think a lot of it is, this is a more complete lineup. I think he's swinging the bat with confidence. He looks confident, and he's about to have a great season.
Yeah, I was thinking about you actually in the Grand Slam because
Thanks.
I remember you said last year, you said when Pete Alonso was going opposite, that means Pete Alonso was about to go off. I remember you said that, I think, in like September. So it literally, that ball went over the wall and you were the first thing I thought of. So
thanks. He's also averaging more than 5 pitches per plate appearance right now, which goes into not chasing and making pitchers work and laying off of crap. But he's got the highest pitches per plate appearance rate on this Mets team right now, even higher than Juan Soto, one of the best in Major League Baseball. And I think that he's just seeing the ball really well. He's lying.
The contact. I mean, let's talk about the exit velocity.
Just hitting the what out of the ball.
Yesterday, he had five balls hit above 100 miles an hour, like on exit velo. Like that's, man, like watching Pete Alonso this past week has been crazy. I see Hunter wants to say something.
I was just saying, including the 3 hardest hit balls in the game. At 114, 113, 113 for his homer and 2 doubles.
And that's another thing. Look, there's been so many balls that just did not break right for this team in this first week of play, where I know it's so easy to say, if things break right, this team has a different record coming back home to Citi Field. But we said this last year, and the truth is the ball did start falling in the right spot. It's these things, as long as you're doing things right over time, the averages will even out. We've seen Brett Beatty make some good contact. We've seen Mark Vientos make some good contact. So it's just, it's just a matter of time for those balls to start falling in the right spots. And I think Citi Field is the perfect place for that to start happening. So why don't we talk about opening weekend at Citi Field? So excited for tomorrow, dude. I know you have a lot of special stuff, special surprises coming ready for the fans to see tomorrow.
I'm not going to tell any of them right now.
No, I know, but I'm just, I'm saying, like, I know, are you amped up right now, dude?
I'm amped. Little tired. Got a long night ahead of me here, but it's going to be a really, really fun day, fun weekend, fun 6 games for everybody.
Some good giveaways too.
We
got the Juan Soto pin,
yep.
The Juan Soto collectible pin this weekend, and also for you fans who have missed the magnetic schedule, we have something that some of you might think is almost even better than a magnetic schedule, which is a frame a schedule frame that you can put your picture in of you at Citi Field right here. And this is all the dates of games at Citi Field this year.
That's a really cool giveaway. That's a really, really sweet giveaway. Yeah, no, it's going to be a big weekend. We got Tyler McGill going against the Jays.
Another opening day for Tyler McGill.
Another home opener. I know he pitched the season opener in 2022, the home opener against the Marlins in 2023. Toronto Blue Jays, the team he got his first major league win against. The Toronto Blue Jays, a team that he had arguably his best and most important start of the season last year, back on September 9th, I think it was, that Monday night in Toronto. So it's going to be a huge day for Tyler. Tyler, last 7 starts, going back to the end of last year, August 30th, 2.25 ERA in that span. The Mets have won all 7 of those games. He had a great start in Houston, helped the Mets win on Friday night. So excited to see Tyler. We talked about Griffin Canning. Griffin Canning will go on Saturday, and then it'll be David Peterson. Unfortunately, no Max Scherzer, like we talked about in our last episode. So I know you highlighted Bowden Francis pitching for the Jays on Sunday, and Bowden Francis, of course, took that no-hitter into the 9th inning back on September 11, 2024, before Francisco Lindor got to him. So some good recent history between these two teams. Sure, people will be talking about Vlad Guerrero Jr. as he comes into Citi Field. Of course, the impending free agent. Loves playing in New York. We know that. So that'll be a fun storyline as well. But the Jays are playing well. They just got, I think they're done with the Nats, off today, here tomorrow.
We're both off today, yeah.
Yep.
And it's I think the Blue Jays are a fun team to come see at Citi Field because there's star power in that team. I mean, it's fun to watch a guy like Vlad Guerrero Jr. play baseball. And that's one of the most fun things about baseball and the most accessible things about baseball compared to other sports. When usually, like, if you're an NBA fan, if you're a Knicks fan, if you want to see like LeBron when he's in town, it's going to be like $300 to get into the MSG.
Yep.
Even Barclays, it's going to be like $150, $200 just to get in to see these guys. Baseball is so accessible, and you're able to get into the building and see these guys for a fair price, for a low price. I know tickets are available for this weekend right now, opening day. There might be some tickets on the website, or is it completely sold out?
I think I just saw a standing room down, or they're available for about $60. So if you guys want to be here, what you do,
that's it.
Yep, that's
really not bad to get in for opening day, and it's an opening day.
I don't know if that's secondary or primary market, but all right, I'm gonna share one thing. I'm gonna share one thing.
A surprise, a special surprise.
I'm not gonna fully
sweet treat.
I'm not gonna give it away completely. What I will say is, on Saturday night, Mets Jays, our first night game here at Citi Field, there may or may not be a bit of an addition to what already is the best closer entrance in baseball. That's all I'm going to say. I know we talked about this with Edwin when we interviewed him back down in spring training. That's it. You guys can dream on it, and hopefully you guys are here for a safe situation on Saturday night. Hey, if the Mets are up by 10, that's cool too. But the best closer entrance in baseball may be getting even better. And that's all I'm going to say. We got the first ever Borough Mascot Race on Friday.
I can't wait.
Who do you think's going to win?
I'm a Subway guy. The Subway is my favorite of the 5. I love the pigeon on top, and I'm gonna be riding Subway hard all season.
All right. I don't know who's going to win. So we're going to have to see. You guys, if you're here, you'll be here for history on Friday. But yeah, I mean, I saw those guys earlier. The Subway is greasing up his wheels.
Okay.
The Giraffe, I think, has a bit of a calf issue, which isn't
calf
great.
Issue?
Calf issue.
I heard it was maybe elbow or
no, it's a calf thing. So yeah, but the Subway's looking good. The pizza slice, she fresh, she's feeling fresh. A little garlic, peppering herself with some garlic, some red flakes. So she's in a good spot for the race. I'm not so sure about the ferry. He seems a little bit confused as to what we're doing here, but I guess that's just what comes with the territory.
Can I mention my suggestion to you for what happens at the end of the year with the mascots and get people's opinions on it?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you think there should be a relegation system for the mascot race? Like, we have Long Island fans here, right? Should Long Island be waiting in the wings, ready to be called up to the mascot race instead? If like the Bronx for some reason is the lowest performing mascot this year, can they get bumped out? Maybe a Connecticut gets into the race.
But what would be a Connecticut representative, by the way?
Maybe different looking pizza. I know, like they also claim to have really good pizza.
I feel like at that point you're just doing a pizza race. You can't do more pizza.
No,
can't do more
Connecticut.
pizza.
I don't know, like Apollo. They like golf and stuff, right?
I don't think that a polo shirt is a good mascot.
What about Jersey? Do you think Jersey should be in the relegation
I would
bracket?
think Long Island would be the first one.
I just said Long Island.
Yeah, I think Long Island's good.
But I think you have to have a few teams waiting in the wings,
so
right?
I've heard Westchester, okay, fair.
Jersey, though, you don't think?
I mean, I don't think. I'm from New Jersey. Of course, I think.
I was throwing this up for you.
But the 5 boroughs are the 5 boroughs, right? We play in one of the 5 boroughs. We play in New York City. Yes, there are Mets fans from Long Island. There's Mets fans from Connecticut. There's Mets fans from New Jersey right here. And it's not a bad idea. But, you know, we've got to see how things work out. We've got to see how these 5 boroughs act. Can they act responsibly? Can they get along? I don't know if they can get along. They might be fighting for all I know. We might have to put one in timeout. So we'll see.
Timeout.
But, you know, we also would need to come up with what the costumes would be. So I think for Jersey, you could probably go with the Taylor ham or the pork roll.
Should it say Taylor ham or pork roll? What if one side said Taylor ham, one side said pork roll?
Perhaps. And then I've seen Long Island bagels, but I'm going to be honest, New Jersey's got some pretty damn good bagels too.
Yeah.
So
what about just a Bruce Springsteen impersonator?
You can't do that.
Why not?
Yeah, it's not that simple. Maybe like Mike. Well, no, like it's the same problem. The IP. So I don't know. We'd have to.
What if it's an what's it, amalgamation? What was it the word?
Conglomeration?
No, Hunter, do you know what I'm saying?
Not a clue.
I'm saying the word. If you know the word, write in the comments.
A combination.
A combination of what if it is
Bruce?
Okay, it's a
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi.
It's a jack dude, right?
Yeah.
Muscular tank top.
Yeah.
So you got a situation there.
Mm-hmm.
Then guitar on its back.
Mm-hmm.
The red hat
with the red hat in the back pocket, like Bruce in the Born in the USA album.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then head is maybe like long, like metal hair like Bon Jovi.
Who else is famous from New Jersey?
Oh my God, the Sopranos.
Well, that's probably the last thing we can do. We try not to get sued here, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm John. I want you to push limits as much as you possibly can.
Trust me, I always do. When we get reined in, so it doesn't always work out the way we want it to.
But I think people are going to like the mascot race. I think people are going to be cheering for it during the weekend.
I would think so.
And then if you want to come back next weekend for when the team is back, the team is doing an Empire State Building bobblehead giveaway, and
very cool. The lights up.
So I don't know if you can see from here, but it does light up. And yeah, so this is going to be a really fun April here at Citi Field. Man, last night I tweeted this. That was the first Mets game of 2025 last night. You felt all the emotions, the roller coaster. There's nothing I like more than being slapped in the face with emotions week 1 of the season, where I'm back in, I'm at my TV, I'm screaming, I'm stressed out, and I'm feeling all the feels.
I mean, yeah, that was definitely a roller coaster of a game. I saw a couple people that were there talking about how it was one of the best games they had ever attended. I mean, look, I think both teams struggled in extra innings.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the Mets scored their runs in the 11th inning via a walk, and Xavier Edwards trying to throw a ball before it was in his glove. The Mets probably should have scored more in that inning, to be quite honest, and they almost let that 2-run lead get away.
They should have scored more throughout that game.
They should have.
You heard an upset announcer on the broadcast.
So, you know, I do think that while the Mets are 3-3 coming home and they're in a good spot, and you know, we saw last year how long of a season it is, and we knew that, but you really saw that, it's never too late, I think. Eventually it gets too late, but, you could struggle through the end of May.
That's why you got to watch those jokes right now about another team, okay? Anything can happen. I know
anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
History is not on their side.
It's not, but...
So you know why the Braves are in trouble?
Why?
So they're going home for the Marlins. Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one, 5 through 9 of that lineup right now are guys that many people haven't even heard of.
There's injuries, there's suspensions, there's a lot of things happening.
Right, but I mean, if you saw their lineup last night, 5 through 9, in a game where you do not want to fall to 0-7 going home, was not a great lineup. But so they have the Marlins coming up right now. They'll open their home schedule with the Marlins this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A team that we just saw, plucky, not feeling too down on their luck, 3-3. So I think they're going to see Sandy because he pitched on Tuesday. So I think they'll see him on Sunday. But then after that, they have the Phillies and they have Tampa Bay. That's not where you want to be.
No.
So yes, the Braves kind of got screwed by having to go to San Diego and LA.
It's a rough schedule.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, the Dodgers they could win 120 games this year. Quite possibly. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but that team is they didn't need Dustin May. They don't need Dustin May.
No.
They don't need Dustin May at all.
I mean, they haven't lost yet. And it's not like, I think last night was sort of their only game where they...
How about this? They've trailed in I think 6 of their 8 wins.
Yeah.
which is crazy. But
that was scary about the Marlins game last night because they won 3 straight walk-offs to start the year. I mean, like
good juju for them.
That's why it was so that's why that was part of the reason the emotions were just so high in that game last night. But look, it's right now is the time for the Mets to start winning some games, getting that space between them and Atlanta, just having a cushion. Obviously, Atlanta's not the team you're going to be chasing. You got to be thinking about Philly in the long term, but you want as much space as humanly possible with any team because you saw what happened in 21.
Right. Well, the Mets don't play the Braves, I think, head to head until June anyway. But you just got to win games. That's all you're worried about right now.
Whoever you're playing that
is winning ball games. And, the Mets have some things to clean up defensively. And trust me, a David Stearns team, they will. We saw that last year. David Stearns sat in this room when they were struggling and talked about the defense and how important it is to not hurt yourself. So there's headroom for improvement there.
But
when
wait,
hold on. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
When it comes to hitting with runners in scoring position, that's something that the Mets can probably improve on a little bit. We've talked about this. It comes and it goes, and you hit into some hard luck. We know this offense is going to break out. Pitching side of things, you want to keep it where it is, but there's a lot to like about this Mets team right now.
And really quickly, we got to give mention to Kodai Senga. I know, look, the Mets end up losing that game. Look, we know what happened. There were some miscues in the infield that didn't go Kodai's way, but if anything makes you feel good, especially a day where Sean Manaea is going to be out for a longer period of time, because that came out the same day, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Knowing that Kodai Senga looks as good as he did, I mean, the amount of swords we were seeing during that game, the amount of pulls he was getting out of guys, makes me feel confident in Kodai Senga because that's really that's the first real start he's had since July of last year. And then if he hasn't had a full season in 2 years, obviously, because of last year. So that was a really good indicator of where I think he's going to be going. He'll be playing the Marlins again here at Citi Field next week because obviously the Blue Jays, he'll be missing them since he just pitched, but just didn't want to go through this episode and not mention how good of a performance we saw from Kodai Senga. Is there anything you want to add before I throw to our interview?
No, I mean, with Kodai, the ghost fork was working. That's obviously his go-to pitch. Like Tyler McGill said, it's a chase pitch, so he's not going to throw it when he's behind in the count. Does he adjust his game plan? Do the Marlins lay off that a little bit more? We'll see, but a very encouraging start. I was incredibly encouraged. And also, I don't know how much this was really talked about, but for Francisco Lindor after that game to say, it's unacceptable for me to those 2 misplays, and then Kodai Senga to say separately, no, like ever since I got here, that guy has been a leader. He's great. And, it's on me to not get out of that inning. The accountability on both ends is so nice to see. It's so important. And that camaraderie this early in the season, those guys obviously have been teammates now this is the 3rd season together. But, sometimes in clubhouses, there's more finger pointing than there is saying, oh, that's on me, my bad. So you love to see that. And Kodai looked great. The swing and miss stuff was there. So one time through the rotation, I think that what we had talked about before the season is so far through 6 games, it's holding up. And the Mets have more arms coming. Frankie Montas is throwing from 60 feet like Carlos Mendoza talked about. Mets have some dudes down in the minors. The entire minor league schedule gets going on Friday. It's only been the Mets thus far, but Binghamton, Brooklyn, and St. Lucie get going on Friday. So we'll have lots to talk about there. Excited for that. And let's win another series against the Blue Jays. It's what it's all about. Opening day could be the biggest opening day here ever at Citi Field between the welcome back home ovation for Pete Alonso. Of course, Juan Soto making his long-awaited Mets Citi Field debut. Just coming back after last season, all the excitement going into this year. It's going to be quite a day. 3:00, so everyone has a little bit more time in the morning to get themselves ready. Maybe you do go to work. Maybe you peel out at 1:00 instead of not going at all. Don't have to burn a day off, some PTO. That's nice. Parking lots open nice and early. Got a block party at noon, starting at noon right here at Citi Field. Block parties are great. Tons of great programming for you guys. Like we mentioned, the first ever mascot race, pregame intros, always a fun time. Howie Rose once again emceeing those.
Don't be late into the ballpark. Don't miss that. I always hate when I'm outside with some friends that
want to see a full stadium.
Whenever I would go with friends and hang out in the parking lot before the game, and they would not want to get in for the opening ceremonies, I'd be like, guys, what are we doing? Like, we paid a premium for today to be able to see this, so let's get into the ballpark.
It's a big part of it. I mean, you guys, Be loud. Let those players hear your appreciation. You know, that's what you talk about feels. That's a feels 15, 20 minutes right there. So that's all I got.
All right.
Oh, I have one more thing. If you guys see us, come say hi, please.
Oh yeah, we'll be around all day.
I'll be walking around,
Yeah.
I think, tomorrow a lot. So if you do see us, say hi.
During the game or before?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
I'll walk around with
a
you.
little bit of both. So
now last thing I'll say before we throw this interview. Last year, you would have killed for 3-3 through the first 6 games. I feel good right now. I can't wait for the boys to get back. But before that, we're going to end this episode with an interview we did with Jared Smith from Victus Sports. Victus is one of the best bat makers in baseball, the official bat of MLB this year. And we got to talk to Jared because we knew that they were one of the main people making the Torpedo bats. So instead of having uninformed opinions, we wanted to have a deeper conversation and really understand what goes into these, what the difference is, explaining to us how these could really impact the game moving forward. So we're going to throw to it right now, but here's an interview we did with Jared Smith from Victus Sports. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time back at the Apple. Enjoy our interview. With Jared Smith, the founder of Victus Sports, which it seems like the most appropriate time to ever have somebody who founded a bat company because, Jared, your life must be in a tailspin right now with bats being the hottest thing in sports.
Yeah, certainly. The last 72 hours been like nothing we've experienced on the bat end before, quite honestly.
all right, Jared. So obviously right now everyone's talking about these Torpedo bats. It all started Saturday afternoon in the Bronx, a tight shot. I think it was Jazz's bat. Yankees hit 9 home runs in that game, and all of a sudden this conversation takes the sport by storm. But it's not a brand new thing. So I'm wondering, as a guy whose life is making bats, when was the first time you heard about the Torpedo bat?
Yeah, last spring training was the first time that we had really started producing any for some players. And then for us, it had been used a little bit here and there. We knew some players used it for the full season, but it was nothing like what it is now as far as the storm that's kind of come along with it. And I do think something special like breaking the home run record, hitting 9 home runs in a game really opens people's eyes to the potential. It is a little bit strange the first time you see it if you're used to looking at this big barrel that's kind of proportional the whole way out, and then you take the mass off the top all of a sudden, it can kind of mess with your head as a hitter too. So it had that little bit of an adoption period in last year that I think we saw in the playoffs. There was some success with it also. And then going into spring training this year, there's been several more players that have adopted it. And then again, that Yankees performance certainly spoke for itself.
So like I said, I mean, the sports world is just abuzz talking about this, which would lead me to believe that you guys must have been getting reached out to by teams, by players. How much do you see this being an impact going forward on the season already with the calls you're getting?
Yeah, I mean, what they're going to start doing now is doing what the Yankees did, and like looking at it from a standpoint of, hey, our players, if this guy in particular is maybe getting beat inside a little bit or just makes better contact consistently a little lower on the barrel, he might be somebody that the Torpedo bat's perfect for. So I think they'll start to first at sample, get them out there, let guys try it. And then I think from there it'll be tweaks along the way and kind of working in communication with the team and the player to see which one of these torpedoes works best for each guy.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I know Aaron Judge was asked about it, and he said, the numbers speak for themselves. I've already hit 62 homers in a season. Not an exact quote, but something like that, and he doesn't need the Torpedo bat. And I wonder, as someone who has an expertise in this field, what kind of an advantage do you think a player has using this bat where there's more mass around the barrel as opposed to a more even distribution?
Yeah, I think it really has to do with the location of the sweet spot or the performance area of the bat. I think I have one right here. Like I can show you that taking the mass out of here and then moving it into this area is going to take the sweet spot from being in this area on a wood bat to being more down here. So for Aaron Judge, if he's making consistent contact out here and he's performing great out there, then his model he has right now is probably right for him. But to that point, there's plenty of players that do, when they miss hit, tend to miss hit closer to the hands. And I like to call them metal bat hitters is what they were back in the day. For me, was like the guys that could always hit with metal, perform, hit home runs, and then they get with wood, they'd be getting jammed all the time. I think for those types of guys, like that something like the Torpedo bat's perfect.
And as an expert in this bat field, let's say, a lot of people are wondering, is this legal? Are there regulations surrounding bats, the length, the width, the weight? So can you speak to that and how the Torpedo bat stays within the parameters that guys need to stay within?
Yeah, I mean, the only rules are 42 inches is the maximum length, which nobody really gets close to that. I think 35 is the biggest we've ever made. And then max diameter is 2.61 inches. Minimum diameter for the handle, I believe, is 0.86. So all of those things, as long as it stays within that, it's a fully round bat. It doesn't matter if you put taper at the end of the bat, if you put taper down by the logo like most bats are. I mean, you can send a guy up there with a broomstick if it's thick enough. But it's really just about that performance and kind of optimizing for each guy.
So I think Victus is one of the perfect companies to be making this bat because you guys are the custom bat kings. And this seems like a step towards making more custom bats for players, which adds a whole lot of different aspects. I mean, you must be doing a bunch of testing, a bunch of fitting, a bunch of looking at guys. Well, not you specifically, but these players must be looking at every single aspect of where the ball is hitting and then just trying to figure out what is going to be the best bat for them. Now, how much does that add on to you guys? Where are you part of that process with guys? Like, I know Volpe is one of your athletes. I know you have a few players on the Mets that are your athletes. Is that a conversation you have to have with them where they're doing that testing on their own and then bringing you back the data?
So that, but really, we have a baseball performance lab in Baton Rouge that's right on Marucci's campus, and Volpe's gone down there, and we've tested him where we've set him up on the force plate floors. We've tested him with a bunch of different models, and we're able to see kind of where he's making contact and which models he performs better with. So we're actively doing bat fittings with our players, especially people like Volpe that we have great relationships with, and then kind of iterating every offseason, getting together, whether he comes to Victus, goes to Baton Rouge, but working on his model and tweaking it so that it's perfect for him. I think that's, for us, that's something we've had over 200 players come to our bat lab, and I think that's kind of where this thought process has started was, hey, we can do better, whether it's the puck knob on Paul Goldschmidt, won the MVP when we add that puck to the bottom of his bat, or it's something like the axe handle from back when Dustin Pedroia first picked it up. I mean, we're always going to be innovating within the wood bat space and the metal bat space.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like for years we've seen pitchers have all the fun. Every year you see pitchers having new things to their arsenal, like Clay Holmes. We were talking about the kick change all off season. Kodai Senga, when he hit the league, we were talking about the ghost fork. Now it seems like it's finally an opportunity for the batters to get in the fun and update that technology. Do you see this maybe as the start of a renaissance where this kind of gear, we start to see a scientific edge put towards that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something, again, we've been working on it and we've been doing it behind the scenes with players for a while now. So there are things that, like the axe handle, like we talked about, there are Pro XR is another one that's out there. There's the Torpedo bat. There's the puck knob. So there's things that have been going on, I'd say, somewhat behind the scenes that now the general public is just becoming aware to, quite honestly. And I think that you'll start to see more trends because people realize, like, hey, I should be trying new things with this bat. And then we'll be there to help teach you along the way and offer the right products for each individual swing.
You talked about the testing, and beyond the science of the physics of where the mass is on the bat, I'm wondering what you guys have collected in terms of data when a guy like Volpe or any of your other clients come and test and you're talking about where the barrel is meeting the ball, exit velocities, launch angles. What have you guys seen scientifically that in your mind gives an advantage using a bat like a Torpedo bat as opposed to a more quote unquote normal bat?
Yeah, I mean, again, I look at it from two advantages. One being where you most consistently make contact. That could be the guy's swing. It could be how close they are to the dish. It could be the way the pitchers pitch them. But that's one part of it is figuring out like kind of where your misses are, where you make the most contact. But then I also think of it from a standpoint of if I'm trying to hit something 10 feet away from me, I'm trying to knock it off the table, or 1 foot away from me. It's a lot easier 1 foot away. So even just that 1 inch closer to your hands where you're transferring that sweet spot just a little closer to your hands than it typically would be, I think there's some advantage to the accuracy in that as well. And I think that's one of the upsides, I would say, to the Torpedo versus traditional.
Now, Vito talked about Renaissance, and we know that back in the day, Babe Ruth was swinging some tree he chopped down, essentially. And we've seen bats advance over the years. We've seen all sorts of baseball equipment and really sports equipment. Hockey sticks have gotten lighter. Football pads have gotten lighter but more durable. And obviously, baseball bats have gotten lighter but more power. Do you think that this is the biggest jump in quote unquote technology we've seen since you've been in the game in terms of baseball bats?
It's definitely the most hyped one. We'll see.
That's not what I'm asking about, though. I'm not asking about headlines. I'm asking about actual discernible results.
So I think we're still early in the game. I think that there's only been a few players that have truly been fit with a Torpedo yet. The results so far have spoke for themselves. But I think it's yet to be determined how big of an impact this will have. I think the Torpedo is here to stay. I think there will always be people that swing it now, but I don't know whether it's going to be a revolution or whether it'll be something smaller.
Now, this has been bugging me since they debuted. I think Torpedo is not the correct name for these things, and I wanted to get your input on that. If you look at the shape of a Torpedo, I actually think these look a lot more like bowling pins. Now, I know bowling pin bat doesn't make the most sense, but
BPB.
BPB
It
actually
rolls off the tongue more than Torpedo.
But Torpedo, it doesn't look like a torpedo. I don't know if this has been bothering you, Jared, but it's been bugging me.
No, it has not been bothering me. I'll just be honest. I think no.
Torpedo sounds tougher.
Torpedo does sound better. I mean, you're hitting.
I think it's one of those
missiles.
things. The Torpedo name itself is cooler than bowling pin. We called it a bowling pin last year when we started, so I get it. But again, from a marketing standpoint, I want it to be called a Torpedo over a bowling pin, certainly.
And you've already started selling them to consumers. I mean, I saw Victus on their website. You can already buy them. We know what the major league impact has been. We know guys are buying them. What is just the college, the amateur, the consumer product influx been like since this debuted?
Yeah, I mean, it's been tremendous. It was our most bats that we had sold on our website in a day, the first day we launched it. And I do think it's a curiosity factor. And I think it's something too. We went right to the cage. Once the Yankees hit those home runs on Saturday, Monday, we came in here and the team, we were hitting in the cage with them and testing out the models that we were about to launch. And I mean, for me personally, it felt better because again, getting jammed and then being able to put the ball out on the hit tracks, it was different. So I think it felt like the team felt like there was something to it. We obviously had the players' feedback and the momentum behind it. I think it's gaining steam. I think once people start trying it, you're going to find that a decent chunk of them end up sticking with it.
Have AJ and Big Justice hit you up yet about the Torpedo bat? I know that Big Justice swings some Victus bats.
Not me personally, but I can check with who communicates with them.
I mean, this is a great marketing opportunity for them and you bringing the boom. I mean, I've never seen such a boom be brought.
A Torpedo boom? Oh, my God, it's right there.
Have you thought about that? Have your marketing people hit us up.
I believe they're on our list of influencers. Those will be sent out today. I think they'll have them tomorrow.
Just from somebody who works in baseball and a baseball fan, the positive impact of just something in the game that is crossed over to the mainstream, because we see changes all the time in this sport that get kind of flushed under the radar, or it goes to like stat heads or things that people don't look at. But being able to see something that is this commonplace that, like, quote unquote, the normies are just really just latching onto. How exciting is it for you to see baseball kind of take the main stage in this way, all off of the bat?
Yeah, I think honestly, I'm glad you brought that up, because I do think that's kind of the most important part in this, is that we're elevating the game of baseball. People are talking about it. That to us is a huge win. And we had two guys come in here, buddies, that wanted to literally just try out the Torpedo bat. And the one guy said, I haven't hit a ball in 15 years. He's like, but I got to try this thing out. So again, I think it's re-engaging people. If you were known as a metal bat hitter, you're like, man, all I need was this Torpedo. I could have made it. You know how people get. Like, it gives that thought process out there. It gets your imagination going about what if. So, hey, I got to go try it is basically where their head is.
And Jared, without sharing too many secrets, is Victus already working on the next big thing that we're not even talking about yet or even thinking about?
Yeah, we have a lot of different things that happen at the Baseball Performance Lab. So there's, whether it has to do with how we communicate with the player on how bat is balanced. We have some special scales we've been working with, to the actual designs themselves. There's a lot that's still going to be coming out of that lab. And I think you'll see with our products that we launched through the rest of this year too, we are definitely innovating and offering some new things in metal bats as well as wood, like what you see.
And you guys are the Custom Bat Kings. Are we going to see custom Torpedo bats?
Hey, you gotta hit up your boy Bruce for that one. I mean, he's got some ideas.
Because I want to know, are we gonna see a custom Meet at the Apple home run apple bat? Because, you know, like John said, bring the boom home runs. I mean, it seems like that's a hole in one too.
That sounds like a slam dunk to me.
I'll take an AJ Big Justice Torpedo bat.
Well, Jared, thank you so much again. And go to victusports.com, get yourself a Torpedo bat. Look, if you're just playing in rec leagues, if you're playing adult leagues, softball leagues, I think you have a competitive advantage like nobody's going to have in your league right now if you go get some of those.
Get yourself a scholarship.
Go get yourself a scholarship. Good point, John. Well, Jared, thank you so much. Jared Smith, the founder of Victus Sports, was joining us today, and we'll see you guys next time at the Apple.